Somewhere right now, a child is sitting in a classroom being taught third grade material, and they are lost. Not because they can't learn it, not because they aren't capable, but because somewhere along the way, a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe longer, there was a gap. A concept that didn't land, a teacher who moved on before everyone was ready, a period of disruption that pulled them out of the sequence. And instead of going back to fill that gap, the world just keep moving forward. And now that child sits in class every day feeling like something is fundamentally wrong with them. And what's actually wrong is that nobody ever went back for them. A child who is behind is not a child who can't learn. They are a child who was never taught what they needed and then blamed for not knowing it. Welcome to Dr. Wilson's Butterfly Talk, where we have real conversations about what it actually takes to raise a child who believes in themselves. Let me say that again. Where we have real conversations about what it actually takes to raise a child who believes in themselves. I'm Dr. Wilson, over 20 years in real classrooms. And one of the things I have seen consistently across every grade level, every school, every community is the damage done when we confuse a learning gap with a learning limit. Today, we're talking about children who have been labeled behind and why that word, used without care, can become the very thing that keeps them there. I want to tell you a little story about Carlos. Carlos was in fifth grade and reading at a second grade level. His teachers had noted it every year, below grade level, needs intervention, lacks foundational skills. Year after year, the same notes. And year after year, Carlos was pulled out, placed in intervention groups, handed different books than everyone else, and quietly, officially taught that he was less. When I met Carlos, he had one sentence ready for any reading related activity: I can't read. Not, I'm still learning to read. Not, reading is hard for me. Just, I can't. Flat, final, decided. So I decided to do something different. I didn't start with his reading level, I started with what he knew. I asked him to tell me out loud, no paper, everything he knew about cars. His eyes lit up. For 10 minutes, he gave me a masterclass in engine mechanics, brand histories, horsepower comparisons. The vocabulary was extraordinary. The logic was airtight. I looked at him and said, Carlos, you are not a child who can't read. You are a child who never got the right entry point into reading. We're going to find yours. Nobody ever said it like that before. He said it quietly, like he was trying to decide whether to believe it. We built his reading curriculum around cars. Within 4 months, he had gained two reading levels. He wasn't behind because he couldn't learn. He was behind because no one had ever taught him from where he actually was. See, here's the real problem. Here's the truth about learning gaps that the educational system rarely says out loud. A gap is not a ceiling, a gap is a missing floor. And you cannot build higher until you go back and lay it. When we label a child behind and keep moving the curriculum forward, we are not challenging them. We are abandoning them. We are asking them to run a race that started 3 miles ahead of where they're standing, and then shaking our heads when they fall behind. And when a child experiences that abandonment year after year, they stop trying. Not because they gave up on learning, but because they believe learning gave up on them. And this is where the proactive approach is everything. A reactive educator looks at the grade level standard and teaches to it, hoping the child catches up on their own. A proactive educator asks, where does this child actually need me to start? What is the foundation that's missing? And how do I build in a way that doesn't humiliate them in the process? Because here's the other part nobody says: children always know when they're being treated as less. Oh, yeah, they know. They always know when the work they're handed is the easy pile. And every time they know, the story they tell themselves is, I can't learn. And this gets a little darker for them. Meeting a child where they are is not lowering the bar, it is finding the right ladder. So here are the solutions, what you can do today. 3 proactive strategies for reaching a child who has fallen behind without making them feel further behind for it. Strategy number 1, find what they know and start there. Every child has a body of knowledge. It just may not look like school knowledge. Before you assess what they don't know, explore what they do. Ask them about something they love. Let them be the expert. Then look for the bridge between that expertise and the skill you need to build. Carlos understood sequences, cause and effect, and technical vocabulary all through cars. That was the door. I just had to look for it. Your child thing is not a distraction from the curriculum. It may be the only route into it. Strategy number 2, separate their effort from their level. When a child is behind grade level, they need to hear clearly and often that their effort is seen independently of their current level. Instead of, you're still working on second grade skills. Maybe you should try. You tackled something hard today that you couldn't do last week. That's what growing looks like. Growth is real progress. It is the only progress that matters for a child rebuilding their belief in themselves. The grade level will follow, but only if the belief comes first. Strategy number 3, make the gap private. Please, not public. One of the most damaging things we do to children who are behind is making their level visible to their peers. Different books, different groups, different everything. And every child in the room knows exactly what it means. Whenever possible, protect their dignity. Give differentiated support in ways that don't broadcast a child's gap to the whole room. The learning can happen privately. The shame, once attached, is much harder to remove. Say Please, please hear me when I say this. They are not broken. They are not less. They are a child who needed something specific at a specific moment, and the world moved on without giving it to them. Go back, find the gap, fill it without shame, without labels, without making them feel small for needing what every child deserves. Someone who refuses to move forward until they're ready to move with you. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. Here's my call to action for you. This week, I want you to try one thing. Ask a child who struggles academically to teach you something they know very well. Watch what happens to their posture, their voice, their eyes. That child is in there. They just need a different door. Share this episode with a parent or teacher who is worried that a child is too far behind, because too far behind is almost never as permanent as it feels. Not when the right adult describes the best thing for that child and decide to go back for them. New episodes of Dr. Wilson's Butterfly Talk will drop every single week. Subscribe on Spotify so you will never miss one. Until next time, keep showing up for your children, keep growing alongside them, and always remember, every child can bloom when given the right conversation and the right environment.